The Rev Pro UK British J Cup returns on the 22nd of October in Stevenage. Minoru Suzuki has been announced for the Rev Pro UK British J Cup. Cara Noir will challenge Yuki Ueno for the DDT Universal Championship on the 25th of September. CDK, Chris Brookes and Masahiro Takanashi plus Shigehiro Ire will all make appearances for modern Nomad Pro Wrestlers. I spell FLY. Corey McRae is set to face Maverick, and Connor Mills set to face Orsi Gullias in the Passion Pro Cup. And Millie McKenzie has been announced for the TNT Extreme Wrestling's Extreme Fields. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is TNT, the Great British Wrestling Podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodyslam.net and the Jonas Podcasting Network. I am your host, the Great British Deputy, Mr. Andrew Moore, and the two most, joined as always by Big Daddy Dan, Mr. Daniel Allen, just down for short. How we do?
We have come straight out of one meeting ready for our podcast. I have spent a lot of time going over my top 10 British wrestlers of all time, and I cannot wait to share them with you.
Yes, of course. Last week we did talk about what Ariel Helwani's top 10 greatest British wrestlers ever, and of course I took great offense to it. Dan took some offense to it, but not as much offense to it as I did. And of course we'll be putting forward our top 10 great British wrestlers ever, based on what we know of British wrestling, what we've seen, what we've learned. And we've also got previews for all the top shows coming in the next week, on top of a couple of live action reviews from Mr. Big Daddy Dan, and of course the tribal chief of the Big Fat Geeks, Mr. John Cena of the Teen Ties podcast. He is Stephen Sowden. You can't see him. And Dan will read that out for you in just a little while. We'll kick off things off with the British J Cup. It is returning in Rev Pro UK. It's going to be in Stevenage.
And I have already bought my tickets.
And Big Daddy Dan has already bought his tickets.
I have.
Yes,
I am
we are going
very
to be
excited.
live.
I have got 3 tickets. I'm taking along with me a son and a daughter, and I think we're going to have a very, very good time.
That sounds like a fantastic time. I must admit, I have looked at it. Of course, I'm going to Germany at the beginning of October. We'll see what's left over from that trip. Because
we'll see how much of you's left over from that trip.
Yeah, exactly. Minoru Suzuki, of course, has been announced for that show, which is obviously a great announcement for wrestling fans in Stevenage. Get to see the Japanese legend Minoru Suzuki. He's always great for an appearance, I guess. He is a phenomenal competitor, 50 plus years, still kicking, still beating the crap out of people, still going. I'm sure he'll face Ricky Knight Jr. What do you think?
I hope he does. I think that'd be a really good match. I'm not sure who else they put him up against, unless it's one of the NXT UK group that was being released. So we shall see. Who do you think it will be? You think it's going to be Ricky Knight, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be RKJ. Of course, Suzuki was meant to challenge Will Ospreay for the Great British Heavyweight Undisputed Championship back in July, I think, at Epic Encounters, but Will Ospreay had the kidney infection that almost killed him, and so he had to pull out of that, of course. And he fought Michael Oku in a very good match and beat the crap out of Michael Oku. And so I'm assuming there's only one real option for him, and that's thing. Of course, usually the British J Cup consists of 4 qualifying matches and 1 fatal 4-way elimination style matchup at the end. I'm standing with my man Hiromu Takahashi over in New Japan, who's trying to lead the way for juniors. And I think the British J Cup should be held in more esteem, and it should be a bigger tournament than what it is. But who do you expect to see in this tournament?
I'd love to see a returning Speedball Mike Bailey.
course, he is the last winner of the British J Cup. Of course, were you actually there for that one last year?
I was there for that one.
Back at the British J Cup every year. That's what we do here. But big day, yeah. I'd love to see him back in. You know, you've got the usual suspects. I guess Callum Newman would be an option. Leon Slater. I know he's been making huge splash in Rev Pro UK. In fact, he had a match against Speedball Mike Bailey. It was insanely good. You have to check it out on the Rev Pro UK on demand service right now. It was just 17-year-old kid going that toe to toe with Speedball Mike Bailey like he was a 28-year-old pro. Telling you he's gonna be bigger than Will Ospreay.
He has got that potential. There's no two ways about it. Other names, Robbie X,
Connor
obviously.
Mills, Robbie X, Michael Oku. I'm a bit disappointed where they went with the Connor Mills turning on Oku. I think that was really predictable. I think, you know what they really should have done, in my opinion?
Have Michael Oku turn on Connor Mills.
Yeah. I think it would have just changed the whole script up. We could have had Oku go heel. We get Connor Mills over as a mega face. But no, have to protect Mr. Michael Oku in Rev Pro UK. So,
I've just thought of who I want to see go against Minoru Suzuki.
Who?
Luke Jacobs.
Oh, yeah. Don't have him in the British Cruiserweight Championship and have a British Cruiserweight Championship match against Minoru Suzuki.
Winner of the J Cup then gets the match against the winner. Yeah, go with that, please. Rev Pro, listen to me. I'd like Luke Jacobs versus Minoru Suzuki, please.
Yeah, sorry, RKJ. I'm with Big Daddy Dan on this one. I want to see Luke Jacobs versus Minoru Suzuki. I mean, don't get me wrong. RKJ and Suzuki would beat the crap out of each other. But Luke Jacobs and Suzuki will beat the crap out of each other. Dang. You're spoiling it. You're spoiling it. Wow, that would be fantastic. Anyway, let's move on to the fact that Mr. Tom Dawkins will be making his appearance for Progress. Sons, the Cara Noir persona.
Well, to quote Tate Mayfair, and of course, Tateness is greatness.
Of course.
Who's Tom Dawkins ever beaten?
Exactly. Tom Dawkins not beating anyone. Yeah, he is due. He's part of the Deadly Viper Tour, the Sidewinder, which is in Manchester on the 9th of October. So this will be the first time, as I say, that we've seen, Cara Noir or Tom Dawkins. No Cara Noir. There is no Cara Noir. Cara Noir's dead.
Unless you go to Japan.
They killed him. Yes, but unless you go to Japan, because Cara Noir is set to face Yuki Ueno. And I know I butchered his name at the beginning. Don't hate me for it, but Yuki Ueno. The DDT Universal Championship against Cara Noir. He is going to get over with the DDT audience so much. It's just going to be ridiculous. They absolutely love the theatrical side of wrestling. They really, really, really embrace the theatrical side of wrestling. Sometimes a bit too much, but yes, they certainly love to have guys like Cara Noir who can really blend the audience.
They like character wrestling, and I like character wrestling. And I did an interview the other day with Tom Talks Rubbish.
Oh, yes.
And I spent a long time talking about character wrestling and how I really enjoy it. And it's one of the things that I do really enjoy following is good characters.
No, I definitely. And his opponent, Yuki Ueno, is ungodly good. He really, really is. Maybe not quite 100% on par with Takeshita, but we're close. He hasn't got a lot smaller frame than Takeshita, but I've heard people in DDT refer to him as things like the second coming of Kota Ibushi and things like this.
And that's a hell of a compliment, isn't it?
It's a hell of a compliment, yeah. And yes, you go around to review sites everywhere, you know, he's always got a high score no matter what review site you go to. So yeah, Yuki Ueno. This is the second time he's held the Universal Championship. He's only just regained it. In fact, he beat Chris Brookes' CDK tag team partner, Masahiro Takanashi, for it.
Mm.
So there you go. And as I say, it's going to be insanely good. I'm actually kind of annoyed I got rid of my Wrestle Universe app.
Well, we've both got rid of the WWE Network.
Yeah, I got rid of the WWE Network. I got rid of my Universe WWE, this one, and I also got rid of NJPW on demand as well. Just due to the fact I want to try and pick up more British wrestling, and I also want to be able to afford to go to more British wrestling. But of course, you know, I might. I thought DDT was the Wrestle Universe was like $9.99, but I actually checked, it was only like $5.99 anyway. So maybe I'll have to sign myself back up, because you know you do have Chris Brookes and Chris Ridgway's over in Noah, and you know Kid Like is going to be over there soon as well as part of the DDT Cruiserweight tournament. We should do our own Cruiserweight tournament for next week.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Indeed. British J Cup. The British TNT Cup. J Cup. I like it. Anyway, but it should be an absolutely insanely good match. And I'm, as I say, I'm a bit annoyed, you know, I got rid of it because I don't want to watch it.
Well, you'll be able to watch a load of wrestlers from DDT on Modern Nomad Pro Wrestling's new card. Brookes and Masahiro Takanashi, plus Shigehiro Ire are all set to make their debut for Modern Nomad Pro Wrestling. Tell me the lineup.
It's an incredible lineup as well, but of course, it's CDK, Masahiro Takanashi and Chris Brookes versus Bolarama, LK Messinger, and Splits McKenzie.
McPin.
Okay.
McPins.
Yep, you're right. Shigehiro Ire is going to be taking on Dan Maloney in what I can only describe will be brutal, and just a little bit violent. Kid Lycos versus Kid Lycos 2. The young pup takes on Daddy Wolf. Aussie Open also going to be on the card. This is how bloody good this card is. They're going to be taking on the Super Chapman brothers. I don't know what the poor Mad Kurt and his younger brother keep doing to get put in these situations, and that now they're going to face Aussie Goddamn Open, and in what just could be just insanely good, like really insanely good, will be Millie McKenzie versus Alex Windsor, and
that will be great.
Yeah, and that's all kicking off on the 29th of September. It'll be. Is it in Manchester? Let me double check that one. I can't remember if it's in Manchester or yes, Wales. It is in Manchester because it is at the Bread Shed in Manchester. Now, of course, they're all actually in the UK right now because of they're going to be in the UK at the time. Sorry, because of the WXW World Tag Team Festival, which I'm going to be therefore to see. Yes, Shigehiro Ire will be teaming up with Fuminori Abe, which I'm surprised that Fuminori Abe hasn't decided to take a stop off in the UK first. Ire does have a long history with the UK. He's been over to the UK a couple of times. He's had a good run with Progress and a few other promotions. And of course, I think all three of them have got shows coming up for Progress. One of them is something to do with Return of the Fly. I wonder where Modern Nomad Pro Wrestling got their idea from. I think they're going to be at the Birmingham show, and they will also be at. They slotted a new show in for them at the. It's not going to be at the Electric Ballroom. It's going to be, I think, at the Dome and Tufnells.
There is a Dome one coming up soon.
Can't remember what the dates are for them, so apologies. I can't find the dates for them, but they are going to be part of the Progress. And if you want to know why we're not talking about the Progress and GCW weekend are coming up, it is because we got a brand special coming for you this Friday, and it could be going live for the very first time as we invite our GCW weekly partners over at bodyslam.net onto our show so we could have our own GCW versus TNT Extreme kickoff, and should be absolutely exciting. That should hopefully Friday, and as I say, we should hopefully be going out live.
Fingers crossed.
Well, from Japan to Hungary,
because we are a British podcast.
Yeah, I can't remember how we got there. We're talking about the Passion Pro Cup, which is next weekend, and Connor Mills and Corey McRae will be part of the lineup in the Passion Pro Cup, which is why we're talking about it, because yes, we are a Brit Wres podcast and we talk about British wrestlers on this podcast. So Connor Mills has got to face Orsi Gulias, and Corey McRae is going to be facing Maverick. This is actually part of the Passion Pro Cup, which is set up very much like the British J Cup. There will be 4 qualifying matches and a fatal 4-way final. Former champion Peter Tahani, since Volta won the first one. So Peter Tahani will also be part of the show. He'll be taking on Kuru the Kid. Kuru the Kid is a guy coming out of France. Super athletic, very charismatic, very easy to like, and he's taking on his basically counterpart in Peter Tahani. Very athletic, very charismatic, very popular with the crowd. Carlos Romo, of course, the former partner of A-Kid. He'll be part of the tournament. He'll be taking on the WXW Unified Champion, Mr. Tristan Archer, who actually became the Hungarian Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Championship champion over the weekend. So congratulations, Tristan Archer, over there. That is 2 of the top European belts he holds. How many will he get? Hashtag belt collector.
I've got to admit, that match, Carlos Romo versus Tristan Archer, does really stand out to me. That should be a really good match.
So Corey McRae is going to be taking on Maverick. How can I describe Maverick to you guys? Take a little bit of Jungle Boy. Add a bit of Tajiri to him.
The Mist.
He does the Mist. Very athletic, young guy. As I say, got a kind of Jungle Boy look to him. Maverick, I think he's kind of like a lizard thing maybe going. He has a green tongue as well, but that could just be because of the Mist. But yeah, he's a really good young competitor, popular over in Bulgaria right now. Considered one of the top young guys, kind of like Peter Tahani. Connor Mills will be facing Orsi Golias, the bull of the village. In WXW, he's known for not particularly having the greatest hygiene, They don't really push that so much in Hungary, but they do sometimes every now hint to it because obviously they know about the crossover. And yeah, again, phenomenal young competitor coming out of Hungary. It's going to be one of the top stars for a long time to come, and I'm sure he'll take Europe by storm. I think Goliath will defeat Connor Mills. I think Corey McRae will defeat Maverick. I think Tristan Archer will beat Carlos Romo, and I think Peter Tahani will beat Kuru the Kid.
And who are you going for the overall winner?
The overall winner, Tristan Archer's just steamrolling everything. You know, he recently captured the ACP catch fight, the APC catch and WXW Germany fight for Paris 2. So, and as I say, just recently won the Hungarian Championship Wrestling, and I thought I'm just going to have to go with Archer. Elsewhere on the card, you got Robert Dreisker versus, Robert Dreisker, but Avalanche from WXW, big guy, very strong veteran. Orsi is a incredible young competitor, female competitor coming out of Hungary, lots of passion, extremely strong, she's a big girl. And then there is an 8-man tag match featuring Ricky Sky, Milan, Malkai, Terrible Tamas versus Ivor Koloski, Zafir Armin, Icarus of the Hungarian Arrows, and Sasbo Tamas. But anyway, let's move on to TNT Extreme, because Millie McKenzie is now announced for it. She is actually the second NXT UK competitor to have been announced for TNT Extremes Extreme Fields this year. First one was Teo Man, and just recently, of course, now Millie McKenzie. Now, this is a huge rock and wrestle festival that they have every year. It looks absolutely phenomenal. You talk to so many wrestlers that were part of it, they all tell you how much of a great experience it was. They also say it's a very long day. But it's on October the 29th this year again, and they partner up with a lot of promotions from across the UK for the event. And that is, on this case, they've got Pro Wrestling Chaos coming in from Bristol. They've got North Wrestling NCL coming down from Newcastle, and they've got Wrestle Island coming over to Mersey from Birkenhead. I'm sure it's going to be another incredible event.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good.
Did you look into the bands?
I did not.
I haven't got the band details to deep hand either, so I can't tell you which bands you're supposed to go listen to.
I promise I will listen to the bands from TNT Extreme in time for next week, because I am going to be in Cornwall next week. I will have a long-ass car journey to listen to some good music.
Family holiday.
No, helping a bloke move house. Cornwall.
Well, yeah, exactly. You get down there, get down the sea. It's nice. Fresh air.
It's what happens when people ask and it's difficult to say no.
Yeah, I spoke about that recently when they asked what questions should we ask Big Daddy Dan ahead of his interview with Tom Roach, and I put out a tweet saying, ask him how he finds time, because he's the busiest person I know as a counsellor, mental health activist, numerous charities that you work for. It's amazing you have time for anything, and we really appreciate you, and I'm sure the fans out there too.
Careful, my halo will slip.
Anyway,
halos. Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis has got a nice halo on at the moment.
You give me the basics, and then I'll find his actual statement.
Okay, so basically what happened was at WrestleFest, ahead of Clash of the Castle, there was meant to be a signing, and unfortunately there seems to have been a lot of issues with people not being able to get into WrestleFest. The fans were kept outside for a long period of time. People weren't able to go and see the people they paid to see, and people aren't getting refunds given to them, it would appear. So Nick Aldis has promised that anyone that paid for a picture or an autograph at WrestleFest, if they send him a copy, he will send them a signed picture, or if they are going to be at the 1PW show, he will give them one in person, which I think is a pretty damn classy thing to do.
Yeah, I don't even think you have to read out his full statement because you covered it so very well. It's exactly what, Big Daddy Dan has said. WrestleFest screwed a bunch of people. I can say that. I've been told this by a bunch of wrestlers. So I'm allowed to say my sources told me WrestleFest screwed people, and that's what they did. I can't remember the promoter's name. They did give me the promoter's name, but I can't look it up right now. But yeah, dick, and all we can say is and this also counts for Mickey James. So if you had signed Mickey James stuff, if you wanted to go, if you're at the 1PW show and you maybe just bought tickets for the show but had bought tickets for the WrestleFest, then you can claim, or you can go now buy tickets to 1PW show and meet Nick Aldis and Mickey James at the 1PW Fan Slam meet and greet. Let's hope they can do it better. That's all we can really say at that. I'm sure they will be able to do much better because you can't exactly do worse.
No.
Another little story here. A couple more NXT UK stars are returning to the British wrestling scene in the short few coming, and that is Saxon Huxley, as he's been announced for Avant-Garde Wrestling, which is in Newcastle. The Hermit, Saxon Huxley, is coming to Avant-Garde Wrestling, which, as I say, is in Newcastle. Date is... Where's your dates? I don't know when they put their dates on.
In the future.
In the near future, go look at Avant-Garde Wrestling. Saxon Huxley. I do apologize. It's not actually his first one back because he was part of Welsh Wrestling, Welsh Wrestling promotion, Evolution Wrestling, where he faces Brendan White for the Welsh Wrestling Championship. And that's actually going to be on the 10th of September. So that's going to be a good match. Saxon Huxley versus Brendan White. Talk about two big guys who can beat each other up.
Yeah, that'll be a good heavyweight match. Talking of heavyweight, Sam Bradwell.
Yeah.
He is coming back to Unstoppable British Wrestling.
That is it.
The other UBW.
Which I believe are in Barnsley.
I just know it's north of me.
I want to say Barnsley. I don't know why I want to say Barnsley. In the northwest of England at Burnley. Burnley Turf Moor, which is the football ground of Burnley Football Club. So their next show is on the 22nd of October. And it is Sam Bradwell on home turf. Well, that's the show, what it's called, and he is facing James Drake's younger brother, Rob Drake. So, yeah, 22nd of October, Sam Bradwell versus Rob Drake. And his tweet here: Baby Drake's been on a hell of a run. Me and your brother came up in this job together, traveled the world and fought each other every way you can think of. I've got high hopes for your gene pool. Don't you dare let me down, Rob Drake. So it looks set to be an absolute banger of a match. And I'm just going to see if we can find any other matchups that are on the card. I can't find any other matches. Maybe that's just the first match announced. But anyway, yeah, 22nd of October, Sam Bradwell versus Rob Drake, or James Drake's younger brother. Wow, it's going to be a great match. Yogurts! Do you want to talk about PEW?
I'd love to talk about PEW. I was at PEW on Saturday. I was DJing and supplying the music and sound. We started off with the Vegan Prescott versus the Invisible Man. The vegan Prescott's gimmick is he is an annoying animal rights activist. The Invisible Man's gimmick is he is invisible when he has his cloak of invisibility on him. It was a good comedy match. The crowd were very, very much wanting the vegan Prescott to eat the pig. And in the end, the Invisible Man came out on top. We then had Ivy versus Ruby for the Women's Championship. Ivy was defending her championship against Ruby. The crowd were very much in Ruby's favor. Ruby is a Canadian wrestler, very, very good. Ivy's a brilliant wrestler, great on the microphone as well, really riled up the crowd. And Ivy retained her belt without cheating.
I don't believe you.
Just with some good wrestling and possibly the referee looking in the wrong direction. We then had a triple threat match for the Internet Championship, which has been held hostage for a long, long time by Mr. H. Hood.
One of the greatest wrestlers there has been in PEW. And a man that you just can't help but disrespect every time.
I did manage to disrespect him. I'll have to send you the video at some point. He was defending his belt against Riley Nova and Smashing Mike. And this was a brilliant match. You've got three over-the-top characters, three guys that can talk, three guys that can wrestle, and it was great. The crowd loved Smashing Mike. Absolutely adored him. The crowd hated Riley Nova. And let's be honest, everybody hates H. Hood.
Keep an eye out for a special with Smashing Mike coming your way soon.
Smashing Mike, the new PEW Internet Champion. Having pinned Riley Nova, H had lost his belt without being pinned. We then had Toby Valentine versus Big Jim Diehard, managed by Ivy. Two big, strong boys. Toby Valentine, farm strong. He is a good wrestler. Big Jim Diehard, he's a proper throwback big man. Really enjoy his work. This was a good match, nice and hard-hitting. Unfortunately, there was a malfunction at the junction between Ivy and Big Jim Diehard, where Big Jim knocked Ivy off the ring apron, and Toby Valentine was able to roll him up for the 1, 2, 3. The Prestige, the owner of PEW, then came out to make an announcement that he had made some mistakes running PEW. He had struggled running PEW, and he was getting advice from the owner of FTGU Wrestling. And he had him come out, and then there was a beatdown as 4 masked men in FTGU hoodies came out and battered the Prestige. All masked. One took off his mask, and it was H. Hood. H. Hood is running an outside interference from another company coming into PEW. We then have Martin Kirby.
To keep disrespecting him, Dan. He's had to. It's your fault this is happening, Dan.
Well,
all your fault.
I think we're going to have to get H. Hood on here soon to have a little chat. Martin Kirby then took on Elano Stone for the heavyweight championship. Martin Kirby, the crowd chant, big mouth, small balls. Martin Kirby,
it's a family-friendly show.
And the kids love chanting it. Martin Kirby is hated, majorly hated by the PEW fans. And he got the win over Elano Stone after Riley Nova ran out and caused a distraction. Riley Nova and Martin Kirby then beat down Elano Stone until Jack Stars ran out and fought them off. And Jack Stars got Martin Kirby and Riley Nova to leave the ring. And it is going to be a tag team match at the next PEW show on the 28th of October. It is going to be Riley Nova and Martin Kirby versus Elano Stone and Jack Stars. Overall, it was a good show. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed meeting everybody afterwards. They had a great thing where you could go meet all the wrestlers after the show, invited all the fans backstage to see everybody. It was really nicely done. And I would give this show 3 sugars.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Mr. Stephen Sowden has sent me his latest report for UBW, Ultimate British Wrestling, for Falling with Style 3.
Yep.
I
have it in front of me.
No, I've got it. I got it.
You go for it.
Here we go. Hi guys, sorry I can't be with you all in person, and I'm coming to you live via note. That Duckman is reading. Duckman is me, the Great British Jackie, Mr. Andrew Moore, Andy to most, Duckman to some.
To one.
To some. Apparently I've been called the John Cena of tea and tights, as you can't see me. Anyway, I got to go to the wrestling show today for the first time in ages, and it felt good to be back. To cut a long story short, UBW smashed it again. They are seriously a top-notch promotion. In the past year, I've probably been to all but 3 of their shows, and there has not been a bad one yet. The first match was Leo Edwards versus Artemis for the Square One Championship. Artemis came out by herself to begin with, but just before the match started, Means comes out running round the corner to be in her corner. Artemis then went to town on Leo and dominated for the majority of the match. Leo got some licks in, but it was all Artemis all the way until Memes got involved. He had been mugging off the crowd throughout the entirety of the match, and at one point was arguing with the front row, and went to trip Leo, but he wasn't looking, so he tripped Artemis instead, and Leo capitalized and got the win. Artemis then stormed off as Means tried to apologize. This will be revisited later. Adonis Payne versus Philip Deadwell. Chase Anthony informed us that this is a grudge match, stemming from the last show where Payne interfered with Bedwell's title match with Truman Roswell and costing the match. Adonis was out first and got on the mic. He riled up the crowd and called Bedwell out. He really is the best heel in UBW. Bedwell came out and just stood there, staring at Adonis, not moving. Payne got him to move by smacking him in the face. Thus got the match going, and eventually and was evenly matched. But eventually Adonis got the pin with an illegal pin. But then had to leg it as Furious Philip chased him out the building.
That's a great name, Furious Philip.
Furious Philip. Spike Valentine versus Memes. After being pushed around as part of the meme team, Spike finally left the stable and was now facing off against Memes. Memes decided to invoke the clause in his contract to give him creative control and made this match a no DQ. Spike had thus had this match under control up until the point where Memes called Artemis out. She seemed reluctant to help him at first, but fell in line and helped Memes out. The 2-on-1 team was working, but Spike then managed to go for a super kick on Memes. But at the last minute, Memes pushed Artemis in the way, and she was knocked out cold. Spike was then distracted, which led to the Memes hitting the pedigree off the second rope and getting the pin. The Artemis turn has been brewing slowly, and with her giving Memes subtle looks when he's claiming glory after she puts in all the hard work, it now looks like a full steam ahead, and it could be the end of the meme team. Fourth match, Ricky Calvert versus Josh Spicer for the Young Lions title. This is Spicer's first defense after defeating Hustle Malone at the last show. It would be Malone's last match for now. Hopefully. We don't know. We'll see what comes. Josh won a good solid match. Simple. Truman Roswell versus Kai Payne for the UBW Heavyweight Championship. Kai Payne making his debut at the UBW. And the two know each other from previous clashes at Sacrifice, where Roswell is the Ultimate Sacrifice champion. Kai started strong and had the upper hand until he injured his leg coming off the top rope. Heroically carried on, but ended up coming up short. Main event. Golden Shot ladder match. Leo Edwards, Jackson Hart, Josh King, Hugo Bloom, Vinnie Cray, and Tony Sins. This is everything you would expect from a ladder match. Outrageous bumps and intense high spots. My stepdad came with us and had never seen or heard of a ladder match before and couldn't believe what he was seeing. It ended up being his favorite match. Hugo Bloom's single push is really taking off after taking a razor's edge onto the ladder from Tony Sin. Bloom went on to climb the ladder and get the golden shot. He now has to choose which title and when he will cash it in. All the other entrants in this match must receive praise, as this was a good end to a great show. And he gave the show 4.5 sugars.
I love Tony Sin. I think he's great. So yeah, I can imagine it was a fantastic match. UBW have been knocking it out of the park. There's no two ways about it. Great local promotion.
Right, now let's go on to the meat of the matter. Last week, Ariel Helwani, as we say, he did a top 10 British UK list, and myself and Dan disagreed a lot and believe we could do it better, and it could. We blame Ariel Helwani for causing us to argue on camera on our show. Terrible Ariel Helwani doing stuff like that. Boo. Anyway, we've come up with our own. Would you like to start, or shall I start?
You start, and I will follow.
Okay, here we go.
Are you
number
doing
10?
This? Oh, good, you are doing it like that.
I'm going to go 10 to 1. So, number 10, I've gone with Drew McIntyre. He very narrowly, basically beat out Sheamus for this number 10 spot. It was really came down to one of those two, but in the end, I decided I needed a Scot. So Drew McIntyre got the nod on the fact that he's Scottish and Sheamus is Irish. Sorry, Sheamus, but yeah, so that's why Drew McIntyre made my number 10. My number 9, Doug Williams. You know, he was one of the linchpins that kept the scene going, kept the scene together, and would go out to Japan, Germany, America, and pioneer Great British Wrestling and paving the way for many guys to go out and do very similar, including my number 8, Zack Sabre Jr. I think he's been an amazing showcase for what British wrestling can be. He's been an amazing showcase for what technical wrestling can be. He may not be the most exciting, flippy, jumpy wrestler, but he can still have 5-star matches with some of the best. And he held the Rev Pro UK British Heavyweight Championship for so long and took it all the way to Japan, promoted Rev Pro UK while he was out there, promoted British Wrestling while he was out there. Did very well in Pro Wrestling Noah, and he is a 2-time New Japan Cup winner. So although he's not won a singles title with New Japan as yet, I'm sure he will by the end of his career. My number 7, Adrian Street.
Nice choice.
Was an expert in catch can wrestling. He was a pioneer in an inspiration to glam people, to people of the LGBTQ communities at a time when a lot of it wouldn't have been accepted. And he really took the effeminate role and brought it to a whole new level in wrestling. I don't think there's anybody who's done that role better since Adrian Street?
Ooh, I might argue that one.
I'll let you do it once you've gone through your 10. We'll discuss who you think might think. Number 6, Mr. William Regal. How can you not? Yes, you can say he maybe didn't win the major titles while he was out there, but my God, how long was he with WCW, WWE? And he was, and you can't just forget his influence for NXT UK as well. So there's so much we have William Regal to thank for. So, and that's why I've gone with William Regal. My number 5 is Mick McManus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we want to talk about people who took British wrestling to new heights, to the biggest heights that it's ever been, it was Mick McManus in the 60s. And he was, he was Ric Flair before Ric Flair. He was Eddie Guerrero before Eddie Guerrero. He was the original Nature Boy, if you like. He was the dirtiest player in the game. There was no heel that people wanted to hate more. He was the first heel that people loved to hate as well. So he became loved for how much he was hated. He also happens to be my mum's favorite wrestler.
That's brilliant. I'll tell you what's also brilliant.
What's that?
So far, we've only got one wrestler the same.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. Now we're probably going to get into more of the same, I'm guessing. Number 4, British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. Alongside his tag team partner, who happens to be number 3, Dynamite Kid. Again, they really highlighted what British wrestling could be. They took British wrestling to new heights once again in the 80s. And at the end of the day, you can almost thank people like Dynamite Kid for his matches with Tiger Marks, which pioneered today's generation. Number 2, Billy Robinson. One of the best wrestlers that has ever been a wrestler. There wouldn't be Japanese strong style without Billy Robinson. He was a catch wrestling pioneer before he went over to Japan and helped perfect strong style. And for that reason, Billy Robinson, for his impact. And number 1, Billy Goat Will Ospreay. There's nobody you can't deny how amazing he is as a wrestler. You can't deny the fact that he has been insanely successful in Japan's biggest promotion, winning basically everything there is to win, bar the G1, but he's won the World Heavyweight Championship, he's won the United States Championship, he's won the Open Championship, he's won the Super Junior Cup, he's won the New Japan Cup, he's won the Super Juniors Championship. He's done everything, and he's only 28, and there's still more to come. It's insane. So,
do you want to give any honourable mentions?
Oh, okay. Honourable mentions. Sheamus, of course, because he just got notched out by Drew McIntyre. Gentleman Chris Adams, Marty Jones, Robbie Brookside, Nick Aldis, and Hack.
Okay. I'm very impressed with your list. You will see there is some crossover with mine.
I tried to take away modern day biases, if you like, and I did look at who were considered the tops of their generations and their times, and looked into what others had said. So I spent a lot of time looking into it, and of course I asked my mum who she for, and she straight away said Mick McManus.
Which is why I'm shocked at a couple of omissions, but we'll get to those. Number 10, who you should definitely have had on your list, is Big Daddy.
Absolutely not. And we'll talk about what the criteria are really for what makes a thing. And yes, those are Big Daddy. Go for it.
Big Daddy was the biggest draw of the 70s and 80s. He was one of the most recognisable figures in British entertainment, not just wrestling. He transcended wrestling. He sold out Wembley Stadium. He drew 14 million people a week to television.
Yeah, and look how many people complained about that Wembley match.
Oh God, yeah, the match was shit.
Yeah, you look at the huge people who asked for refunds in that.
But he drew them, and that is why he makes my top 10 list of British wrestlers. And yes, I'm not saying he was a fantastic wrestler, but he was a fantastic draw. He transcended British wrestling. He deserves to be in the top 10. Number 9, his former tag team partner, Mr. William Regal. For all the reasons you've said, plus the fact that he was an international heavyweight that traveled the world, that went to South Africa, that went to India, that went all over showing what British wrestling was, and also has the best podcast going.
Because he was sick and tired of being Big
Daddy's tag team partner. Yep, he was. He mentions it regularly. Also does the best Big Daddy impression. He's absolutely fantastic. William Regal at number 9. At number 8, Nick Aldis, the NWA heavyweight champion, a British wrestler who made his name in the States primarily. His work in TNA was excellent. His work in the NWA has been excellent. He holds himself like a true British heavyweight. He is a good wrestler, a very good wrestler, a very good interview. Nick Aldis makes my list. 7, Paige. Paige, for me, deserves to be in the top 10 of British wrestlers. She was the first British major champion for WWE. Now, you can argue that the Intercontinental Championship is a major championship as well, but it's not the number 1 belt for that gender. Paige did it. Paige is an excellent interview. She's an excellent wrestler. She has been wrestling since
she was the original 2-belt champion.
The original 2-belt champion. And how many other wrestlers have films made about them?
Yeah.
Paige deserves to be on that list. Number 6, Nigel Mcguinness. His work with Ring of Honor was second to none. There aren't many wrestlers that can keep up with Brian Danielson. Nigel Mcguinness could take it even further and has transitioned brilliantly into his commentary role. Nigel Mcguinness was of the generation of British wrestlers that were the first generation to be not from
We used to love Nigel Mcguinness on commentary till they WWE'd him.
He was the first generation of British wrestlers that weren't part of the ITV era of World of Sport. And I think he deserves to be up there. I thought that
would be Doug Williams. That's why I went with Doug over.
Yep.
Go for it, yeah.
Number 4, the British Bulldog. Goes without saying. Which means that at number 3, it's got to be the Dynamite Kid. Again, completely changed wrestling. There aren't many people that you can say changed wrestling. Apart from, sorry, that was number 4. Number 3, Mark Rollerball Rocco, who was ahead of his times with his wrestling. Spent a long time in Japan. Spent a long time training today's wrestlers, and was an absolute dynamo. And I've got to admit, I was surprised he didn't make your list. I thought he would have been on there.
He should have been on my honorable mentions just for his run as
Black Tiger.
But when I suppose my list has a few more historical based ones. So I kind of had the choice of like, do I have Rollerball or do I have Dynamite? And I have to, so the choice for me had to be Dynamite over Rollerball.
I had them both. And at number 2, Billy Robinson. For all the reasons you said, he was a true international. He took the British style over to America, to Japan, to India. He was a consummate evil bastard. And his work in Calgary can't be forgotten either. Which then leads me to number one, exactly the same as you, is got to be Will Ospreay. He is the best British wrestler that we have had so far. And as you say, at 28, he's going to keep going. And of course, you missed out the most important thing. He's now on mainstream American television through AEW. Mainstream American television is where the money is.
Yeah, it's where the big money is. And who knows? It could be 3 people out the door and space for him to come in.
Oh, yes. It's a shame we're not mentioning that because that's just shits and giggles. My honourable mentions, Pac, Zack Sabre Jr., Adrian Street and Doug Williams.
Yeah, so, I mean, there was a few that we obviously, I had, like I say, McManus. You went for Daddy being the pioneer as the thing. Well, you know, for me, without McManus and how big he made British wrestling back in the 60s, there's no way Daddy could have done what he did in the 90s. But I think
what we're saying is in the 60s, he got it to there, and then Daddy took it to there.
No, because in the 60s, he took it to there, and Big Daddy took it like not much further. But as I say, I think with me picking people, Adrian Street as well, Mick McManus. I picked a few more of the golden oldies, if you like. I think you hummed at Zack Sabre Jr. I could maybe agree with you. There might be one or two. As I say, I went with Doug Williams over going with Nigel Mcguinness. I just think Doug Williams had just that inch more success, just about.
He had the more recognition internationally, possibly.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, obviously, McGuinness had that amazing run, as you say, ROH champion, Pure Rules champion. Of course, Doug Williams was a Pure Rules champion as well, but he also held titles in Impact. He held the X Division title. He held the tag team titles alongside Nick Aldis. He even held the IWGP heavyweight titles and titles in Japan and titles in Germany. And so for me, I think, Regal Williams just about edges him. It's always a discussion between Regal and Fit Finlay. It always seems to be people typically go for Regal over Fit Finlay. I think we did some good job. I think we did good. Let us know your thoughts on our top 10s. As we say, what comes down to what is the criteria? Popularity, in-ring capability, the amount of money you draw, the amount of titles you win, the amount of good wrestling reviews you had. It's difficult. It is 100% a subjective thing. Yes, you can use some arguments, like as you say, like you would use the argument, well, Big Daddy did this. Well, I'd use the argument like, well, McManus did it in the 60s. So if we're going to use that as a category for one person being in it, well, for me, it'd be McManus, because I also believe he was an incredible wrestler.
I can imagine a lot of people would disagree with Page being on that list, but I don't argue that with them quite easily.
I think you do have a very good point. The fact, yes, her career is probably shorter than most, because obviously the injury cut her in-ring career very, very short. But she was the first 2-title women's champion, as the NXT champion and the Divas champion. She did spearhead the revolution for women's wrestling alongside a few others, but it was really, for me, it was her. She was the pivotal pin that was missing. And as you say, she was the first British person to hold the top belt in her gender in the WWE. So therefore, I think I fully agree with you. I think she does deserve to be in there. And if I was to put her in my list, I'd probably take away Zack Sabre Jr. and I would put her in Zack Sabre Jr.'s position at number 8. And I wouldn't move Doug Williams or Drew. I'd still leave him at 9 and 10. But there we go. There's a lot of good wrestling coming your way next week.
Yes, there is. We're starting off with Purpose Wrestling on Friday. Invaders Must Die at Wimbledon. Connor Mills takes on Rex Armstrong. Eddie Dennis takes on one of his trainees, Nino Bryan. That should be brilliant. Sapphire Reed and Joe Kessler are going to take on the team of Tommy Kyle and Sky Smithson. That is a match made in heaven. Laura Di Matteo versus Ava White. Jordan Breaks is going to be defending his championship against RJ Singh. A man like Derice was supposed to be taking on Doug Williams, but unfortunately Doug Williams has picked up a shoulder injury, I believe it is, and has cancelled the rest of his matches for September. Who is going to be taking on man like Derice? And we will hear from the OJMO.
Yeah, it looks set to be another great show. As you say, Eddie Dennis spoke to us recently on our podcast, available on the YouTube channel. Go check that out. And he talked literally about Nino Bryan, about facing Nino Bryan, about wanting to face Nino Bryan, that it was his idea to face young Nino Bryan. I do believe Eddie Dennis is actually replacing the injured Luke Jacobs, who was supposed to be in the match, defending the Rev Pro under Cruiserweight Championship. That's going to be a great match. Rex Armstrong, Connor Mills is going to be on a mission to get back in championship contention against Jordan Breaks. Jordan Breaks against RJ Singh should be a typical good match. I'm sure Jordan Saeed will be lurking around the corner somewhere. If you haven't seen Sapphire Reed yet, you really should. She is a mean mugging young girl, but yeah, she got that look about her that just says, yeah, I'm gonna fuck you up. And she'll be teaming up, of course, with Northwest Strong's Joe Kessler and Tommy Kyle, always a favorite of ours here on the Team Tight Spot. Ava White, Laura Di Matteo should be good. What's happening on Saturday?
On Saturday, we have Charles Crowley's Funhouse in Coventry. Wrestle Carnival putting on an amazing card again with Jetta defending her championship against Lizzie Evo. Charles Crowley versus Gene Money in a Charles Crowley's Funhouse match with special guest referee Jerry Bakewell. Ava, not sure which one, will be taking on Ava White. Will be taking on Clementine. Charlie Morgan and Alex Windsor will team up to take on the team of Debbie Dharma and Emerson Jane. Boisterous Behaviour, one of the best tag teams in the UK that isn't fighting for a major championship at the moment, man like Derice and Leon Slater, will be taking on Robbie X and Mark Haskins. George Lydon will take on Levi Muir, will take on Nino Bryant in a Carnival Twister match. Tommy Kyle will take on Kelly Six in a Pure Rules match. That one could steal the show. And Joseph Connors will take on Brady Phillips. Again, that's going to be a wicked, wicked match.
Talk about an insanely good card. Of course, Jeddah will be defending her Wrestle Carnival Women's Championship against Lizzie Evo. Lizzie Evo attacked Charlie Morgan and demanded Jetta give her this title shot or she would have broken Charlie Morgan's leg. So there's going to be a lot of animosity going into that match. I mean, Crowley Gene Money was going to be entertaining anyway. Then you throw in the fact that there's some sort of crazy idea that Charles Crowley has got in a Charles Crowley Funhouse match. Then you throw in the fact that you've got one of the funniest wrestlers in the business, Jerry Bakewell. Go see his appearance on Britain's Got Talent if you don't believe me. Well, he's going to be the special guest referee. So that's going to be crazy. Now, Charlie Morgan is going to be teaming up with Alex Windsor, who also has claims to be the Wrestle Carnival Women's Championship. So that's a very interesting situation there. Debbie Dharma and Emerson Jane. I love Emerson Jane. She is amazing. If you haven't seen her compete, she is seriously good. As you say, man like Derice, Leon Slater, Boisterous Behavior, Northwest and NCL Tag Team Champions. They are insanely good. I mean, man like Derice, Leon Slater, you heard what I said earlier, he's probably going to be better than Will Ospreay in the future. Man like Derice is a hybrid of just strength, power, athleticism, and speed.
And entertainment.
Yeah, and entertainment. And then you got match against Robbie X and Mark Haskins, two of the best in the UK. Honestly, could be honorable mentions in the future for 10 of the great British wrestlers ever. Young guys, Jordan Lydon is a Coventry native. He picked up a win at his last time out in Wrestle Carnival, so he'll be looking to impress again in his home time. Levi Muir makes his debut. Nino Bryan makes his debut. Tommy Kyle, always a favourite, we said it before, versus Kelly Six, one of the most underrated wrestlers you'll see. And this is going to be an excellent Pure Rules match. I do believe whoever wins this match will probably face Chris Ridgway for the Wrestle Carnival Pure Championship next year when Wrestle Carnival return, because this is the last show this year for Wrestle Carnival. They will be back next year. Joseph Connors versus Brady Phillips. If you don't know who Brady Phillips is, you really need to get to know who Brady Phillips is now. Seriously, guy is stacked, jacked, and insanely good as a wrestler as well. So pure beef. It's going to be a great match.
Another show going on Saturday, Iron Girders Gyms Iron Girders 6. Kez Evans takes on Martin Kirby, Project Ego himself. Marcus King takes on Jimmy Pierce. Mickey Devine versus Hatch Kavida. Casey versus Molly Spartan in an IGPW Women's Tournament qualifier. Casey currently sits on 1 point, Molly on 2. I love seeing those two wrestle. You don't see it too often, but I do love seeing those two wrestle. Thatcher Wright versus Levi versus Leighton Buzzard. Arcade Violence versus Martin McAllister and Jan. Dustin Alexander versus Charlie Weiss. And Shay Monet and Nicole Jasmine versus Anastasia and Leon Graves.
Yeah, so the Iron Girders gym, I believe, is BT Gunn's training school. So these are a lot of these young trainees getting their chances, and these Iron Girders showcases family-friendly foot wrestling. Dastardly Kez Evans versus Project Ego, Mark Kirby. It's going to be good. Let's just face it, it's going to be bloody good. Marcus King's one of the KOE versus Jimmy Pierce, one of the young boys over on ICW. Should be a great match. But as you mentioned, Casey, Molly Spartan, these She-Wolves, great when they fight against each other, great when they fight with each other. They're just amazing. Leighton Buzzard is a superstar.
He is, and Thatcher Wright is going to be in a bad mood, isn't he?
He is, but we'll talk about that when we talk about ICW Fight Club in just a minute. LWF.
Honor and Glory. Lana Austin versus Jenny B, who is the current champion. Nathan Gunn versus Davey Ghetsky, who is the current champion. The Wrecking Crew of Nick Cutter and Chris Stone versus the Models, Joey Hayes and Danny Hope. The Absolute Worst versus the Shining Wizard in a 6-person tag match. And Los Luchadors versus Crossfire of Nate Reese and Steve Cross. And Aiton Steen is taking on Bob Costin.
Of course, we popped down to see LWF for their winter show last year. Great family-friendly show. Aiton Steen is one of these standout young guys who you really better get to know now, because great competitor, great wrestler. Nick Cutter with the Wrecking Crew's Chris Stone. Brilliant. I've always been a fan of Davey Ghetsky as the LWF champion. He defeated Reynaldo last time out to become the LWF men's heavyweight champion. I've been a fan of Ghetsky. He can he's a little bit on the small side, but yeah, he can wind a crowd up something fierce, and he does come with that MMA type background as well. Lana Austin, of course, is just everywhere right now. Everywhere you look, Lana Austin is there, and there's a reason for that. She's freaking amazing right now.
Yep, Lana Austin is brilliant. Love it to bits.
And yeah, she has been chasing Jenny for the last few shows, and finally got a chance to face her when she teamed with Teen Titans favorite Leia Raven against Jenny B, and I believe it was Aurora Tevez at the time, and of course Lana Austin and Leia Raven came out on top, and now she gets the women's title shot. What's happening on Sunday?
Just up the road from me in St Neots, we have Rev Pro UK's Risky Business 2022. Will Craven takes on Robbie X. Alex Windsor will take on Mercedes Blaze. Luke Jacobs against TK Cooper. Nice to see TK having a solo match. Michael Oku versus Dan Maloney should be brilliant. And Eddie Dennis takes on Lucian Phillips in a battle of the big men.
Yeah, Will Craven is a new competitor who's just kind of popped up on RevPro UK recently and picked up a win against Michael Oku, who's on a bit of a losing streak at the moment. And he's going to have a hard job getting himself back on the winning streak when you're facing somebody like Dan Maloney. Really pleased to see Mercedes Blaze getting on a run on RevPro UK recently. I think she was on the last show, probably earned herself a shot to take on Alex Windsor. I believe she took on the new young girl. On her name, she's amazing. But that's going to be a great championship match, women's championship match. As you say, Luke Jacobs, TK Cooper. TK Cooper is really underrated as a single star. He is a phenomenal wrestler alongside Chuck Mambo's great tag team, but he's seriously underrated as a singles guy. And him and Luke Jacobs, I think they're going to tear the goddamn house down. What else is happening?
New Wave Wrestling at Rothin Cardiff. Wild Boar, Mike Hitchman takes on James Ellis. Shane Hooker takes on Jay Joshua. The Greedy Souls will take on Alexander Hyde and Kurt Atlas. Jake Lennox will take on Mulligan, and Billy Hayes will take on Harrison Bennett.
So, of course, the New Wave Wrestling Academy School is set up by Brendan White. We spoke about it when we had Mr. Brendan White on our show very recently. It was great chatting to him about the Welsh wrestling scene, and he talked about his amazing facilities he's got over at New Wave Wrestling. He hadn't planned to run a show, but said an opportunity came up, and he said, "Why not?" So he's got you've got guys like Wild Boar making their return to the UK scene. Against young guys like James Ellis. Shane Hooker is again very another young contender I've heard a lot of good things about from a lot of young people in the thing. Jay Joshua, we've always said he's somebody who's underrated as a big man. Very, very effective. Greedy Souls are honestly one of the best tag teams in the UK right now.
As we saw this weekend.
Yeah, you'd at least have to have them in your top 10 UK tag teams right now. And I think be pushing them for the top 5. I definitely do think so. I think they would be in my top 5. Jake Lennox, another young man against Mulligan. Mulligan's been breaking through a little bit. He is supposedly a very, very good big man. The one guy Brendan White couldn't stop talking about was Harrison Bennett. He couldn't say enough good things about young Harrison Bennett. And he's going to be taking on, of course, team title favorite. He's been on the show twice already, Mr. Billy Hayes. So it should be a good one. Anything else?
Yes. Insane Championship Wrestling Fight Club in Glasgow. We have got Krieger and Looking Sharp versus Charlie Weiss and Ian Skinner. No longer of Thatcher's cabinet. They handed in their resignation letters. I don't know if you read them.
I didn't read through them, no, but I did see.
They gave exact reasons why they left their positions.
We'll find them and we'll talk about them once you've gone through the rest of it.
Daz Black versus Sheikh Sham. Charles Bungard and Shah Samuels versus Aaron Echo and TV's Jackie Polo. Stevie James versus Craig Anthony. Jason Reed versus Vaughn Vertigo. Moxie Malone versus Daisy Jenkins. BT Gunn versus Levi. Theodorus versus Charles Bungard. Hold on a minute. He's fighting twice. And Andy Wilde versus Coach Tripp.
Yes, he is. Maybe I got Charles Bungard right. Maybe that's supposed to be someone else. Oh, you know what? I think that must be Jack Jester's supposed to be the
I thought it was Jack Jester and Charles Samuels, but we all make mistakes. Don't worry about that.
Yes.
Standout matches for me: Daz Black versus Sheikh Al Sham, and Krieger and Looking Sharp versus Charlie Weiss and Ian Skinner.
I mean, Jason Reed versus Vaughn Vertigo is going to be really good. Vaughn Vertigo, phenomenal competitor coming out of Canada, very athletic. I'm always a big fan of Jason Reed, although Andy Wild versus Coach Tripp could be very interesting. Stevie James versus Craig Anthony is going to be an insanely good match because Craig Anthony is looking to get revenge on Kez Evans, but I do believe he lost to Leighton Buzzard recently at the what's occurring, so he's going to need to be getting things back together. Moxie Malone, good women's match against newcomer Daisy Jenkins. Theodorus versus Charles Bungard is definitely a match I want to see.
Which surprises me, because you're not a massive Charles Bungard fan.
I'm not the biggest, but I'm a huge fan of Theodorus, and I want to see the wrestler versus the MMA man. I think it's something to talk about. It's a story to be told in the wrestling ring. And yes, as quite rightly you say, Ian Skinner and Charles Weiss have left their things. I'm not going to read them out. I think it'll take a bit too long, but gist of it is they're not happy and they decided to quit.
Yep. Beautifully worded their resignation letters as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it from a political point of view.
Yeah, so go check them out on the ICW Twitter page, or you can find them on the Ian Skinner Twitter page or Charles Weiss.
Can indeed. North Wrestling on Sunday as well. Amir Jordan and Conor Renshaw versus Big Lou Nixon and Screwface Ahmed. The She-Wolves will be taking on Poor Crash Boat. Rory Coyle versus B.A. Rose versus Jet Marshall versus Jack Turner. Leon Slater takes on Kid Lycos 2. Shreddy versus Joe Hendry. The Grafters, H.G. Drake and Gia Adams versus your current bad boy obsession, Tonga and Gene Money. And Liam Slater will defend his championship against Will Cruz.
Yes, because Gene Money is a bad guy over on North Wrestling, and he's part of Bad Boy Gym with Lycos Gym, but he's going to be teaming with Tonga. What a name. Your current bad boy obsession. What a fantastic name. She-Wolves versus Crash Boat. Poor Jack Bandicoot and Jake Silver. I feel very, very sorry for them. But the She-Wolves are going to probably crush them. The Rory Coyle, B.A. Rose, Jet Marshall, Jack Turner is going to be for the North Wrestling Ultra Violent Championship. So going to be violent, I guess. And Amir Jordan's back, making his first return since NXT UK, and it's going to be for North Wrestling NCL against Big Lou Nixon and Screwface Ahmed. Leon Slater, Kid Lycos 2, Prospect Wars, Freddy versus Joe Henry, Big Boy Wars, Liam Slater versus Will Cruz. Good match.
I just want to say, excuse me, UK bookers, please can you book Tonga for more matches? Love Tonga to pieces. Haven't seen her around much over the last couple of months. Please book Tonga more.
Yeah, you're right. She's been in the Northwest though, maybe. Maybe I should just not seeing her. She's not getting the South bookings. We need bring her back down south. Bring her back to Progress. TNT Extreme, Ignition, someone, yeah.
Bring her down.
Everyone, yeah, she's phenomenal. That is a great lineup. There are so many great shows to go to this weekend. So we really hope that you'll go into one of these great shows. We've got a little bit of sad news here for you.
Yeah, a couple of guys have announced their retirement this week. They're both Southern-based wrestlers, and one of them we have interviewed. Forrest Hayes and CJ Carter have announced that due to different reasons, they are leaving wrestling.
Forrest Hayes for his shoulder, CJ Carter due to a back injury. I know what that's like. So very sad to see these guys, particularly CJ. He's been around the scene for a long time. He's a veteran. He knows his way around the ring. He's good for young guys to work with. Hopefully, I believe he's going to continue Ignite running, which is his own promotion that he runs in Boreham Wood that always has some great shows. So when they're in Boreham Wood and Ignite, go check them out. And yeah, Forrest Hayes hasn't been around as long as many others. And yeah, very, very big shame because I believe he injured his shoulder whilst winning the Ignite Championship. So always not fun to talk about. We wish them the best and hope that all their recovery goes as well as it possibly can.
Very much so, and we thank them for entertaining us over the years, guys. Thank you very, very much. We wish you, as Andy says, all the best and all the love in the world. Thank you for being part of British Wrestling.
Indeed. Now, of course, we didn't talk about the amazing GCW versus TNT Extreme, or all the team GCW wrestlers are going to be in progress next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Well, it's because we're going to be doing a special, possibly live, with the guys over at the GCW weekly show. Jameis, Cass, possibly Mike, I'm not sure the exact details, but it's going to be something that we might look to do in future and go live. So it's going to be a test run of that of sorts. We want to see how well it does, see how much interaction we can get from you guys as we, going live. It should be great fun, as the GCW got TNT cards are stacked. The GCW Progress card is stacked. We got a lot to talk about. I'm sure there'll be plenty of arguments and should be so entertaining. We hope you join us. As I say, this Friday, time to be decided. But it should be a great show. With that said, just remember, don't feed the trolls.